Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Nathan, and today we're reviewing this 2010 Toyota Corolla CE, which just happens to be the longest lasting appliance known to man. Now, we usually make fun of the Corolla for being that boring A to B car because, well, it is. It's a commuter car. That's what Toyota designed. That's what they gave the consumers, and this is what you got. This is the 10th generation of the Corolla. And from the exterior styling here, I mean, it's, well, rather boring, but you do get standard halogen headlights, at least through all the trim packages, even though this one here today is the CE trim, which is the base model. You also do have this sort of honeycomb grille. And then down below that, you do have these plastic covers. But again, this was the LE trim or S trim or XRS trim. You would get standard fog lights. If you thought the front of the Corolla was rather boring in its design, I hate to break it to you, so is the side of the vehicle, because you only get these standard 15-inch steely wheels with hubcaps. But one thing I like that Toyota finally did and coughed up a little bit more money, at least for their base models, is they actually color matched the side mirrors and also the window trim. But if this vehicle, let's say, was the XRS trim or even the S model trim level, you would also get side skirts, which just adds a little bit more flair and kind of breaks up the norm. At the back end of the Corolla, it's just as simple as the rest of the vehicle. I'm okay with that because, again, this is an economy car. But one thing I always thought interesting about Toyota was the fact that, at least from the mid-2000s, at least to the 2010s, it seemed like a lot of their taillights, at least the reverse lamps here, had this sort of rose tint to them. I mean, I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's just a me thing that's noticed that, but it's kind of unique, I always found. But everything else here at the back end, I mean, yeah, you have your Corolla badge, your trim package badge, and there's no cutouts for your exhaust because, of course, you don't need to even show that on a vehicle like this. And then you have your low reflectors down here, and that's about it. Here in North America, you only had two engine options in the Corolla. You had the 1.8 liter engine, which is equipped in the vehicle here I'm reviewing today, and the 2.4 liter, which only came in the XRS trim. Now, this 1.8 liter, despite the fact that it doesn't make a lot of horsepower, being about 132 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque, it's not all that bad considering this vehicle weighs just over 3,000 pounds. But if you really wanted that extra power, let's say move up to 158 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, then the XRS trim with a 2.4 liter is definitely the option to go with. Now, in terms of reliability, that's where there's some things that you want to be more concerned about. Now, the 1.8 liter is generally the more reliable engine. At least the later model years, let's say about after 2010, they became even more reliable. But yes, there were things like timing chains that you have to often replace, and also just regular wear and tear. But besides that, that's really the only problem that goes wrong with these engines. The 2.4s were most known for sometimes burning oil, but again, most of these engines just burned oil, at least in the earlier years, even the 1.8s apparently. So that is the only thing you have to be a little bit more concerned about. Otherwise, they're pretty much darn reliable. Stepping into the interior of the Corolla, and I'm, well, not surprised on what it's like because it's very much like the Toyota Echo I reviewed about a year ago, and very, very simple. And I quite like it for that because there's no modern technology to take your eyes off of anything and be distracted at any point. Now, despite the fact this is the base model, you actually do get a number of things as standard. You do get power windows and power locks, air conditioning, an auxiliary port if you want to listen to music that way, which I don't think anyone has since 2012, and also a CD changer, which again, no one probably has ever used in this vehicle. But yet you do have all those items, and you even have cruise control, which is nice as well. Now, in terms of the rest of the interior, yeah, it's hard plastic everywhere, but you wouldn't expect anything less of a vehicle like this. Now, in terms of cubbies, though, you do get a number of those. You do have, you know, your center storage cubby right here with a 12-volt power outlet. You do have your adjustable cup holders here in the center. You do have on either side of the stack here, you have little storage cuts there. And then you also, on the door, have storage as well. Now, you also have a little storage cubby here on the left-hand side. And then a nice upper glove box here, which can fit, you know, decent sized things. And then down here, a nice dampened glove box. In terms of other features, you only have your lights here on either side. You do actually have a sun visor with a mirror and looks like a little card holder, and same goes here on the passenger side as well. The one thing though I do have to give Toyota for is their seats here. I always think that they've made good seats, at least they're supportive, and even for what I consider to be one of their cheapest vehicles ever made, it is rather, you know, comfortable, and I do like it. Sitting here in the backseat of the Corolla, it feels a little bit more cramped than the Echo that I reviewed about a year ago. I think that might just be in my head, and also the fact that the windows are tinted so it seems a bit darker, that may contribute to it as well. But I'm 5'11", and I'm sitting behind the driver's seat, which is set for my height, and I, you know, have a little bit of space here here for my knees. It's not all that bad, but moving my feet up and down is a little bit cumbersome. I'm not quite comfortable in that aspect. But again, the seats are nice and comfortable, just like they are at the front of the car, which I'm quite thankful for. Now, in terms of amenities back here, there's not a whole lot to mention, even in this base model. I mean, yeah, you do have storage cubbies here on the doors and your power window switch. You even have, you know, the sort of gimmicky cup holders, no mat pockets, and also no center armrest in this trim level. I think you can get that in the LE and the XRS trim. Now, you do have a dome light, which you do share with the front end, but that's pretty much it. So let's go check out the trunk now and see what that's all about. Now, to get in the trunk of the Corolla, you have a couple options on how to do that. Unfortunately, you don't have just a simple button you can press here to open it. You have the option here of the key fob, the key slot on the trunk lid itself, and also a release latch by the driver's seat. Now, just for the sake of doing this quickly, there we go, we're in the trunk. Now, this trunk is actually relatively big for what I consider it to be a small vehicle. Now, you don't really have anything noteworthy back here. Yeah, you do have your split folding rear seats, which have these pull tabs on either side. You do have a donut spare tire just underneath the floor there, and then a little tray over on the right-hand side, and that's pretty much it. Now that I'm out here on the road with the Corolla, is most certainly the definition of a commuter car. Now, that is of no surprise. Again, whenever you talk with your friends or whatever people, they're always going to mention the Corolla as a commuter car because that's what we know, and that's what Toyota designed this for. They designed it for those who want to get to where they need to go without having a breakdown, or at least less chances of a breakdown than, let's say, any other vehicle out on the road. And that's what Toyota's built their brand reputation on, is, you know, reliability. And the Corolla has definitely led them to that top position of the most reliable manufacturer. I mean, you think about other manufacturers that you would compare this to, you know, this 10th generation of the Corolla. You have, you know, 2010 Mazda 3, which I've also done a review on, and you also have the Honda Civic. Now, they're each different in their own ways, but yet they're commuter cars as well. Now, this one here, I feel, is kind of like, well, I wouldn't say the middle ground, but probably the safest choice, we'll say, for people that would want a commuter car and that they know the branding from. Now, I personally, again, am more of a driver-focused person. I love driving. Those of you who've been watching my channel for quite some time know that I love cars, like most of us do. And this one here is usually the car we'd always make fun of, at least when driving, because let's face it, a Corolla is not usually a vehicle that you want to be associated with, especially if you are a car enthusiast. But I do have to give Toyota credit. They made a fantastic vehicle that is, well, a vehicle that stood the test of time. Now, it's been out for, you know, many decades, the Corolla, you know, since the 1960s, even to today, and it's still one of their most popular vehicles that they sell. In terms of driving dynamics, the Corolla can't even touch the Mazda 3 in that aspect, I think so, because although it's, you know, soft, you know, goes over bumps well, it just doesn't corner like a Mazda 3 does, and it never will. I don't think even the current generation is as good as the Mazda 3. But yeah, that's fine, because again, this is something maybe an elderly person would want to drive, and they don't care about how well and it corners, you know, going around 50 kilometers an hour or so. They want something that is going to, again, just get them to the grocery store and get them home, and that's all they want. Like I said earlier in the review, I love these seats. I mean, are they the most supportive? Yes, but they're not bolstered heavily, and that's, again, you wouldn't expect that in a vehicle like this. But yet, they're so comfortable. I've, you know, always praised Toyota for their seating choices, you know, and materials. You know, they always hold up, and not only that, they're extremely comfortable, and again, they just are great for long distance drives. I think these are probably one of the best seats I've sat in quite some time. And actually compare that to even the 2010 Mazda 3, I would say that these are actually a little bit better, to be honest. With this 1.8 liter engine and this 4-speed automatic, yes, that's right, I said 4-speed automatic because that's the option they gave you. You can only get a 5-speed automatic if you got the XRS trim, or at least a 5-speed manual all through the range. But this one here today is the 4-speed automatic, and you pair that with the engine here, the 1.8, it's all right, but definitely it's a bit sluggish at times. More so on the highway, I feel like you just want that extra gear, and or you need that little bit of power. It's kind of like give or take. You need either one of them, and you just can't have them. So it's a bit of a letdown in that sense, but yet in around these back roads here, it's totally fine. I mean, it's very economical. You know, this vehicle, the 1.8 liter, gets 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers combined, city and highway, which is about 29 miles per gallon. The 2.4 liter is definitely a bit more thirsty. You know, it gets 9.4 liters per 100 kilometers, city and highway combined, which is about 24 miles per gallon. Say what you will about the Corolla, but I think that at the end of the day, we all know that this vehicle will outlive us all, at least most of us, because as long as it's taken care of, you can even abuse it a little bit and it's totally fine. It's nothing like the Germans would take, but you know, that's what these vehicles are made to do. They're made to keep going. It's like I said, it's a sewing machine of sorts. People often refer it to as that as well, because it's the one appliance, the one thing that just keeps going forever and ever. Whether you like it or hate it, you have to admit the Corolla is one of the best-selling vehicles for a reason, and that's because most of us want something that is affordable and not only that, reliable. And that's what Toyota offers with this vehicle, not only just this generation, but those prior and those in the future. So if you need something that's reliable and that will also save you some money along the way, definitely consider the Toyota Corolla. And if not, what else would you consider? Would you rather drive the Mazda 3 or the Honda Civic of this era? Let me know down in the comment section below. And on that note, I just want to say thank you very much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and also consider subscribing so that way you don't miss any future videos like this and other car projects and car reviews on my channel. And until next time, take care. Bye now.